Decades ago, in my youth, I lived in a small town near India without modern amenities like smartphones, video games, or the internet. Entertainment back then was going to the cinema, a special treat for us kids, you know. I vividly remember a particular night when I eagerly went to watch a re-released old black and white film in the theater called Vihaya Mahal. The cinema was on the eastern side of town, separated from our place by a major railway line. Although it was a late night show, I managed to get permission from my family. After an exciting evening at the movies, the show ended around 1 a.m. and I made my way back home. Instead of taking the safe route through the main railway gate, I decided to take a shortcut and cross the railway tracks directly. As I walked in the darkness, lost in the thoughts about the movie, I suddenly felt something soft at my feet. Unable to see clearly, I curiously reached down and found my hand grasping long, wet hair. Startled, I realized I was looking at a human head without a body nearby. I was so scared I just quickly ran away. With my senses heightened, I carefully made my way back, avoiding any mishaps, and managed to reach the other side of the railway line. Once there, though, I couldn't forget the eerie encounter. The next day, the local newspaper reported that a woman had actually committed suicide by jumping in front of a train. This haunting incident remained etched in my memory, and I couldn't share it with anyone else for a long time. It took me a while to overcome the fear and to see darkness as just darkness again, without the haunting image of that night. In 2018, I transferred with one of my friends to a university in Paris. And since we were broke and rent is very high there, we ended up renting together a studio in one of the worst neighborhoods in Paris. Alongside our studies, we had to do some student jobs in order to afford food and rent. We had no help from the government, and our families were more poor than we are. The first job we did was an inventory job, and the shifts were from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. Just terrible. Our sleep schedule was ravaged, and we had to go to the uni in the morning. This happened on a winter night where I was not scheduled to work, but my friend was. I got out late from uni, and it was a particularly cold day. As I enter the apartment building, I see a homeless man in the hall sleeping. I thought he was protecting himself from the cold outside. I go to our studio on the 13th floor, eat, and go to bed. I pull out my laptop and my headphones. I then continue to watch my show on Netflix. I was so absorbed by it until I heard my friend getting home. It was already 4 a.m. My friend was so tired that he went straight to bed. I continued watching the show. Then 20 minutes later, I see my friend gesturing at me from his bed. So I take off the headphones and he tells me, "Hey, look, that guy wants to speak to you." I turn my head and I see a face like 10 centimeters from mine. This was the scariest jump scare I had in my life. I quickly got out of bed and turned the lights on while that guy was mumbling something. And as I turned, I recognized him as the homeless guy who was in the hall. I asked him why the hell he's here and how did he enter. He was just saying, sorry, I'll go now. I said, "No, I will call the police." And he said, "No, I will go, don't call the police." Which, honestly, from my point of view, if someone is entering your home and they ask to leave, unless you have a gun, let them leave. Don't do what this person did. Let them leave and then call the police, Don't just not call the police, but let them leave first if they're trying to leave. At this point, I see that he is no threat, so I asked him if he took something in the apartment. He said no and took out his jean pockets so as to show me he has nothing. I tell him, "All right, get out," and so he does. I locked the door behind him. I turned back to my friend who was still in bed, and he was like, "Is he gone?" I said, "Yeah." So he said, "Okay, good night," and he went back to sleep. Like nothing happened, I went back to my Netflix show. When we woke up the following day, we start recollecting what happened in that night, and it just dawned on us how badly it could have gone. Yeah, really? You think so? These people. So my friend tells me when he got home, the homeless man was sleeping in the lift. And since he is probably the last one that used the lift, it stayed on our floor. Our hypothesis is when the homeless man woke up, He just got out and tried every door until he hit ours and found it unlocked. My friend was so tired he forgot to lock it. My friend tells me that he saw from his bed a shadow gesturing at me. And since he was in trance mode between awake and asleep, why did they use that phrasing? I don't know. It took him time to realize there was a stranger in there, and when he realized, he gestured at me to get up. After that event, we stayed 5 more months, then we got the fuck out of that neighborhood. I like that one. Alright, so for this next one, I'm gonna need y'all's input, okay? Y'all gotta let me know in the comments what you think. Now, this one is out there, I'm telling you. And I'll put a screenshot of a little bit of text from the Reddit post. Now, I will usually never do this, but this one is way out there. He or she admits to committing a crime that's basically impossible to commit to, acting like it's real, and they sound like they convince themselves, okay? That's why I'm adding it in here. It's freaky, okay? It's just freaky, but yeah, check out the story. I tried to do a ritual to release a creature from an evil place, but I seem to keep doing it wrong. This ritual requires someone to die, but because I keep doing the ritual wrong, the person I had killed trying to enact this ritual comes back to life. The person comes back to life because the ritual is giving me another chance to try it again. So I redo the ritual and I slit Adam's throat, but he comes back to life again because I did it wrong, and the ritual is giving me another chance to do it again. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong, but Adam seems fine. The only thing that is different about him is that he finds his neighbor way too quiet. He told me that he needed his neighbor to be as loud as possible. I have never heard of someone complaining about another individual for being too quiet. I told Adam that his silent neighbor is a blessing and that people usually complain about being loud, and I should know about loud neighbors. Anyhow, Adam was still up for being sacrificed, and I was grateful for Adam. I mean, most people would run away at the idea of being sacrificed. Adam, though, was up for it with no hesitation. He is that kind of guy, and this ritual is a rough one. I sacrificed Adam again, and he was dead, as the ritual required someone to be killed. He kept coming back to life. It's a weird thing to say. It really is. I should be happy Adam was coming back to life, but I really wanted the ritual to work. I didn't know what I was doing wrong, but I was grateful that the ritual was giving me chances to do it right again. Adam was really starting to become agitated with his silent neighbor. He wanted him to become loud. He even confronted his neighbor about being too quiet. The neighbor was obviously confused, and the police were ignoring Adam just like a madman. I must have killed Adam 100 times now, but the ritual kept giving me more chances to do it right. As Adam kept coming back to life, I was really down about the whole ritual thing, and I wanted it to work. I felt like a complete failure. And then Adam called me. Adam said he couldn't take the silence that his neighbor was emitting, so he went over there and murdered him. Now the creature that I had been trying to resurrect has appeared. The ritual had to be completed by the dead coming back to life, and then the person that had been brought back to life has to then commit murder. Turns out I had been doing it right all along.